Hey everyone, and welcome to the Cheyenne Hills Podcast, Verse by Verse. We know it's often hard to find time to spend studying God's Word, so we're happy you can join us as we read, unpack, and discuss Scripture every Tuesday and Thursday. We hope you enjoy the program.
Across the street and around the world, Cheyenne Hills.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Verse by Verse podcast. We are going through Genesis, and this morning I have Tiffany Erickson. She's our children's director, and Austin Miesner. He's our youth pastor. So we're here today, and we are going to be walking again through Genesis. We're really at a really important, dramatic part of the story of Joseph. And so where we left off last time was that the brothers had, because of the famine, the brothers had come to Egypt. They bowed before him, and all of a sudden Joseph remembered his dream. Clear back in Genesis 31, where the grain, the sheaves of grain would bow before him, and he remembered that dream. And so you have to wonder if he had forgotten about it, and he had just kind of carried on. But here he is. He's confronted with his brothers, and we are going to pick up chapter 42, starting at 25. And so I'm just going to read through here, and then we're going to just make some comments about the drama that's unfolding. Joseph then ordered his servants to fill the men's sacks with grain, but he also gave secret instructions to return each brother's payment to the top of the sack. He also gave them supplies for their journey home. So the brothers loaded their donkeys with the grain and headed for home. But when they stopped for the night, and one of them opened their sack to get grain for his donkey, he found the money at the top of his sack. "Look," he exclaimed to his brothers, "my money has been returned, and here it is in my sack." Then their hearts sank. Trembling, they all said to each other, "What has God done to us?" When the brothers came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened to them. "The man who was governor of the land spoke very harshly to us," they told him. "He accused us of being spies, scouting the land. But we said, 'We are honest men, not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of one father. One brother is no longer with us, and the youngest is at home with our father in the land of Canaan.' Then the man who is the governor of the land told us, 'This is how I will find out if you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me and take grain for your starving families and go home. But you must bring your youngest brother back to me. Then I will know you are honest men and not spies. Then I will give back your brother, and you may trade freely in the land.' As they emptied their sacks, there in each other's man's sack was a bag of money that he had paid for the grain. The brother and their father were terrified when they saw the bags of money. Jacob exclaimed, 'You are robbing me of my children. Joseph is gone, Simeon is gone, and now you want to take Benjamin back. Everything is going against me.' Then Reuben said to his father, 'You may kill my sons if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. I'll be responsible for him, and I promise to bring him back.' But Joseph replied, 'My son will not go down with you. His brother Joseph is dead, and he is all I have left. If anything happens to him on your journey, you will send me, this grieving, white-haired man, to his grave.'" So here we have the father, or the brothers have come back home, and there's a lot of debate on what is really happening. And they keep saying, "We're being tested to see if we're honest men." And yet I love this, what they're all wondering among themselves, what has God done to us? So what are some things that you guys are picking up out of this passage?
Well, I think that we're seeing just the continued nature of the theme of providence running through Genesis. Like the very beginning book of the Bible, we see God providing all of these things over and over and over again. And whereas like people, atheists or other people would be like, well, obviously that was just superstition. That like obviously guys did that, not God. But we also know that like from our point of view that it is God who ordained those things, that Joseph would do all of that so that he would be then providing for their family because of we're seeing that generosity aspect. Even though he's treating one harshly and sending them away, he's also still making this huge provision for them. Not only did he give them their money back, but then it says he also supplied them, so with everything to go back home. So it wasn't just a here you can buy stuff, it was a here and go, like better than what you were.
Right. What are you taking out of this, Tiffany?
To kind of piggyback on that thought, you could definitely jump to the conclusion, and it sounds like the brothers do, that, we're set up here. We've been set up, right? That the money's been placed back in the sack so that he can prove that we're not honest and good or whatever. But, to kind of take a different look at it, I wonder if Joseph isn't replacing that money, because he's not going to take money from his dad. He knows, but he's not quite ready to explain, this is who I am, this is who you are, and stuff. And so just sort of secretly putting that back into the sacks and offering that back, not out of malicious intent or anything like that. But I do think that it's interesting that the guilty heart, if you will, of the brothers automatically turns it into something like, oh no, this is, they tremble because they have this physical response of fear and trembling, because they know their past, and they've got that guilt to work through, and to rebuild those trust relationships with their dad, with each other. And
I find it really interesting that they immediately pinpoint the Joseph story in their own lives. This is why this is happening. Like, we kind of talked before about this. It's not like they haven't been perfect people. They've already done some pretty shady stuff, so to speak. So why is it all of a sudden that, like, oh, this is happening to me, and it's because of X, and so, like, they're immediate, like, okay, well, all of these other sins we would like to think are minor, but they are just immediately like, we're just now getting our comeuppance for hiding this prior.
So no matter how long you try to hide your guilt, I mean, it always will bubble to the surface. And I think it's interesting here, Tiffany, you even talked, we're talking about some family dynamics. Jacob says over and over, Joseph is dead, and now Benjamin is all I have. I mean, this could have been a time where the brothers said, hey, Dad, we got to be honest with you. Before God and you, we're the ones that caused Joseph's death. I mean, we don't know for sure what's happened to him. It wasn't an animal. They had an opportunity, and yet they still couldn't bring themselves to total honesty.
Well, there's that, and then I think that also what could have been causing that is that we're seeing Jacob play that favoritism still, because Benjamin and Joseph were of Rachel. There we go. That was the wife that he loved, and so like having these two sons, he's like, well, he's not even concerned about them. He's just like, well, my boys are gone, as if like, well, you guys aren't. So like even just hearing this, like, no, I'll do this, Dad, I'll do this, but then Dad's like, well, you're not really my son, almost as not a slap in the face, but like you can just see even in his own countenance of like, I really care about these people because this is the wife of whom I loved, rather than the wives of whom I was given, so to speak.
Yeah. So even in that favoritism, again, that family dynamic, that family dysfunction, I mean, how it just really pits people against each other. So what are some things that, as we've read through this, that you kind of, I feel like, can apply to everyday life? What are some things?
So something for me that kind of stuck out was just Jacob's, he was like, I've already lost this and I've lost this, and I'm not willing to put anything else out there, he knows what's right. He knows what needs to happen for the survival of, all these families and stuff. But he's like, no, I'm not, and he resists it. And I just wonder how often in our life we don't do that next right thing because, of a loss or something that, a failure or something like that,
it's like we close up.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it just, in this time of talking a lot about generosity and stuff over the last week or whatever, it's that clenched fist. And it's like, okay, I'm done putting it out there. I'm done trying. I'm done, and then what does that do, in our own lives of kind of limiting, what the Lord's able to do in your life. And
right. Jacob was still clinging again to his favorite son. And I can see why, but he really had lost the bigger picture of, survival of his family and his descendants. So, yeah.
Well, and I think to bring it back to Jesus, I know I'm that guy, but to bring it back in, like thinking of, well, Jacob is choosing to not give one of his only precious sons for the survival, right? And yet then we see all the way what if God would have taken that opportunity and be like I already saw Genesis 6, like I've seen what Israel keeps walking away, but yet he's still, rather than holding that clenched fist, is going to send eventually Jesus, not only to rescue Israel, but obviously those with whom are going to be his bride eternally. And so like just looking forward to that point of, okay, so if we're supposed to model what God has for us, and that very same idea of, okay, so what am I not seeing the big picture for? If I'm just thinking it's about me, myself, and I, rather than thinking, okay, what does God's kingdom demand of me for me to be obedient?
Very good. So I also just, again, when hard things come, a lot of times we can play the victim. Why do bad things keep happening to me? At one point they say, what has God done to us? And I think of James where he says, confess to one another. And, that confession, how that can, when we confess to God, God can forgive us and make things right, and how that clean slate is so needed. If not, it's just like you're always hiding from that guilt. You're always hiding from not doing the right thing. And, I look at this and think about, man, that weight, that it's like this piece of iron in our soul when we don't confess and make things right to God and to other people, and it just keeps coming back. It just keeps coming back. It won't go away. So, anything else, guys, that you're seeing here?
Not with this one.
All right. Well, I think we will end here. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us.